Njeri Migwi, founder of Usikimye. How are you today?
Cool.
All factors considered.
Have I bags?
Yeah. Thank you
Tells
for.
you I'm actually exhausted.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. We're going to get into a conversation with Njeri Migwi, who has done extensive work, not only to address gender-based violence, but to stand with victims and survivors. And we appreciate her and many others like her. But today's quote, what did we just do there? I see what you did, Latif. You just threw it to me, Kabisa and Delea. Today's quote is, you have to heal the wound before it ignores the medicine.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to heal the wound before it ignores the medicine.
I hope you're all not asking me who said that.
No. It's your reflections on it. We won't ask. It's an African proverb, but
It
yeah,
actually
just
is
yeah,
the truth.
yeah.
You have to heal the wound before you are.
Yeah, for the medicine to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're tired, Njeri.
I'm actually
You're exhausted.
I'm exhausted.
Why? What have you been up to?
First of all, can we get you a cup of coffee?
Yes, that would be amazing. The thing is, after the protest, I was in the protest myself, but after the protest, and I managed to get home safely, and I am realizing getting home safely is actually an issue. Because after that, when I came on the, I didn't even have my phone, because the last time I was in the protest, my phone got stolen. So I didn't carry a phone. I was like, Apana, I'm not going to do that. So when I went home, I found my phone had so many messages, so many calls. And I was what's happening? And then when I followed up is when I was being told, attacks are happening in town. And I had no choice but to just tell people, hey, in case this is happening to you, kindly contact me. And I was very hopeful that, I hope nobody really contacts me. I barely was that tweet 10 minutes when the first call came in, and the second and the third. And now I panicked. I was like, oh my God, it looks like we have a problem. And the people who were calling me don't know me, don't know the work I do, have never heard of me. They just were looking for safety and just to talk to women who now don't feel safe because of the extensive sexual assault that had happened to them. Was very traumatic, to be very honest, because I couldn't even get hold of our psychologist. So it was me doing the psychological first aid, having to just walk these women and tell them, look, I promise you, I can come for you. Because there was one who absolutely refused to leave her house. In fact, we managed to get her yesterday at 3 p.m. Talking, the psychologist talked to her, our therapist talked to her, I talked to her, and she was not ready to believe that anybody. So I told her, can you get somebody who you trust, and then I can come, because if you're afraid of being driven even to the hospital by a man, I'm willing to come all the way where you are. And it's just been something else. Just the whole office, the whole of yesterday, everybody was doing the most they could just to talk to the people who came to us, who were 13 in total. The ones who we were able to talk to, the ones who were able to, to offer, psychosocial support, some who we even helped to take to hospital. So yeah, that's just what it's been.
It's heavy, and it will probably spill into today. In whichever way you're able to capture the pattern of what you were hearing, whether it's the women and girls who were speaking to you, and the crimes and even the perpetrators, just any patterns that stood out for you that made you realize there is something really dark happening here.
Majority of these women, out of the 13, 11 were gang rapes. Yeah.
All in Nairobi?
Yeah, but one in Nakuru and 2 in Ngong. And the modus operandi was for 4 of the women, they were grabbed off motorbike by, a gang of, I'm going to say goons, because some had pangas, machetes, and some had sticks. And yeah, they raped and robbed the women. So there was that sense of helplessness. One that I know, this particular one, she had her uncle during Mandamano, and this man offered to help her. And Yeah, so he took her on his motorbike and just did not even go very far, and he raped her. So I don't even know. But generally, yeah, just those two. But the other ones were all gang rapes. From 3 up to 11 men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
When they called you, all 13 of them that reached out, when they call you, from where were they calling? And what help were they seeking from you?
Most of them, by the time they were calling, were using somebody else's phone. There was no one who had a phone. I remember the girl that I was convincing I was using the roommate's phone because she's a university student. I was using the roommate phones. Most of them,
So she'd gone back to the hostel?
Yes. 2 were still here on the streets. But they didn't even know what they wanted. They just knew that they didn't even know what to do.
They didn't know.
That was the most.
Next.
Yeah, they didn't know what do I do? How do I even feel safe? Because the most issue is that one was extremely suicidal, and I completely understood where she was coming from. Some of them, the help that was extended were people telling them, I know this person who does this, and I can help you. A neighbor, somebody on the street who, like the one I came for here at around 1, had somebody, and actually a man who stood with her all the way until I came for her. And she was really shaken completely. You could see she was out of sorts. Yeah, so.
Sorry, I'm just getting back into that. So, by the time they're calling, some have gone, they're seeking help from a friend, from a neighbor. Others are calling you from the site of assault. And
some it's the person who helped them, who was now directing. Yeah. Was telling them there is help, we've been told you can help. And some of them did not even call on the day, because the people who actually called on the actual day were like 4. The other ones who actually called were now yesterday.
It's yesterday when now they're following up with calls.
Yeah, that's when people are now calling, texting, sending messages on social media, and just asking now for help.
And many of them don't know what to do.
No.
The basic help that they want is, I just need to know, what do I do now?
Yes.
Okay. So what support are you giving them?
First, your psychosocial support, because you need to understand that rape is very devastating, both psychologically, physically, emotionally. They were devastated. I don't even know what else I can explain. It's a grim reality that sometimes you have to face, is that everyone was devastated. That's one. So a lot of the support we needed was therapy. That's what I'm calling psychological first aid, just to make this person feel like, I know it's not safe. I know you don't feel safe, especially in your body, because the first thing is your body is not safe. Because what most people don't understand about rape is that it is personal. It's a crime to self. You know, when you're robbed, it's something that has gone, right? Or even if somebody cuts you. But this is inherently so deeply inside you. So it's such an intrusion into yourself. And so the body is not safe. You know, you feel like your body has betrayed you to a level that you don't even understand your body. So to even just tell this person, it's okay. First of all, it's not your fault. That's one of the most important things that we can actually explain. And sometimes just to tell them you're in the wrong, you know, you can't even just tell somebody you're in the wrong place because you had come out to protest for your rights, to fight for your country. Some of them had nothing to do with the protests. They were caught up on their way home. It's not everybody that was raped that was part of the protest. Some were leaving, were going home.
From work.
From work.
From school.
When they were surrounded. And so for them, it's just remind them that it is not your fault.
It goes into, as you say, personal. It's identity. It's dignity. It's what you say. It's what defines you. It's your body. Your body is you. Right? Your body is your home.
And now you're not safe in your own
and it's been violated.
home.
So you don't know then. So what am I doing? Am I getting out of this body?
Exactly. Or am I healing within it? And then another disturbing pattern, and maybe you'll speak to Njeri, is that usually in these cases, they're supposed to be, you go to the police and you'll speak to what is supposed to happen. And now, as many people feel, they're even equally as scared of going to stations. So this is really complex all round because you're dealing with the trauma and then you're dealing with even trying to pursue justice. What have you been facing or seeing even as you try and help the survivors navigate? Because the police station is probably somewhere that they don't want to go. How are you managing to balance that?
For me, and at the end of the day, the survivor for me, being survivor-centered means I put the interest of the survivor first. And so none of them is even willing to report. We don't even have one single lobby for anyone who has agreed to report. Okay, that's one. Number two, even convincing them to go to hospital has been a problem. That Kwanzaa has been the thing that has really stood out. Is, are you willing to go to hospital? Because I have, we have to like encourage them and explain to them why it's important to go to hospital.
Why are they afraid?
They're afraid to even leave their houses.
It's a fear. It's like security and
like if I go
just
out, what if somebody?
outdoors.
Yes.
What if it happens again?
What if it? That has been a question that has been asked so many times. What if I go outside and those people know me? What if the neighbors can tell? What if there is something about rape that that brings about shame, and societal stigma, and the idea that people know. Even though nobody knows, we've tried, and just to even tell them this is anonymous, and where we are going to take you is going to be, you're going to get the help that you need, and just to even convince somebody it's okay to leave your house, it's safe, because right now outside is dangerous. Outside is where these people are. Outside is where, and so just to convince them to even just leave the house has been an issue. And out of the women that we've served, only one finally called me, I think, as I was coming and told me, thank you. I don't know how I'll go to work. I don't think I am still in the right frame of mind to even go back to work. I don't even know how I'm going to tell them why I'm not at work. But thank you for just letting me know that the world is still a kind place. And I think for me that's it. It's lack of safety, lack of kindness, and lack of care.
Yeah, that stops them.
From all corners. I don't... when I think of how sexual and gender-based violence is being weaponized against women, I think of last year, and the protest felt safe for me as a woman, and I know for a lot of other women. And I think of even Wednesday, and I think in the morning, that I felt safe. The afternoon, not so much. There was a shift. What have you seen compared to last year? And I don't want to, do a number comparatives or anything, but did we see something similar happen during last year's protests?
No. Last year I only got one complaint, one issue. But the thing with this year is you can actually say this feels targeted. This doesn't just feel like something that spontaneously happened, because we were on the trenches and we were with men. And there was no somebody grabbed you or somebody pushed you, or there was even a level of sex. We were all, in the trenches. If it's hiding, we were all hiding together. If it is being tear gas, we're all being tear gas together. So this turn of event changed from around 6. That's when, a tide changed, and things just took a destructive note. And remember, it was around the places where you go home, which is around downtown, which is where also a lot of looting was happening, and a lot of all these things that have been reported were happening. So you can actually tell that this isn't something that generally happened. For me, I feel like this was very, very targeted, because gang rapes don't just happen.
I agree.
It does. People don't know. As somebody who handles a lot of SGBV.
So there was weaponization of people.
Yes.
I think we had already seen the warnings.
Yeah, the planning.
And the fact that this came after, there was all that, that's why it feels very planned.
Coordinated.
Very coordinated, very much. And these are only the people who reached out to us. I don't know what the numbers
that's
are.
what I wanted to ask, Njeri. As you've said, many of the people who are calling, it's somebody else who was helping them reach out to you.
Yes.
They did not know what to do.
Yes.
They did not know who to call. Somebody else knew, they called you. There are many who do not know what to do. What can you tell them now? And what can we do so that people already know that this is how I can seek help? This is how I can offer help as well.
First and foremost is to every survivor of rape is to know that it's not your fault. There is nothing that you did or you didn't do that put you in that position. So just to let you know that we're here, that the guilt that you feel, the niggling feeling that I could have done something, maybe I should have left work earlier, maybe, no, it's not your fault. Maybe I shouldn't have dressed like this. Whatever you feel, it's not your fault. I need you to know that, and I need you to believe that there is nothing you could have done better that could have saved you from that situation. That's number one. Number two, and very, very important, I need you to go to hospital. I need you to go to hospital because 72 hours after a rape situation gives you a window in which HIV can be, you can be given drugs that will help you not contract HIV. So it's very, very, that's why we talk about that 72-hour window. That's 3 days from the day that you got raped. So that means even if this had happened and you went home, because I know the first thing for most rape victims when it happens is we all take a shower. And I know it's hard for me to tell you not to take a shower, but if you haven't taken a shower, this is good. The clothes you are wearing, if you can wrap them in a newspaper or a brown bag, not a plastic bag. A plastic bag deteriorates the evidence. So if you can just pack it in the clothes you're wearing, and you pack them in a newspaper or a brown bag, that would be really, really helpful, and give them to the hospital because they contain specimen, they contain evidence that can be used if this thing is to go into the prosecutorial part. But for now, let's talk hospital. So once you go, it is generally very much advised to go to either a public hospital, I know, but public hospitals if you're going to prosecute. Other than that, you can go to GVRC, which is a Gender Violence Recovery Center, which would be Nairobi Women. If you're in Nairobi or anywhere that you see a Nairobi women, there is one in Nakuru. We sent the survivor there yesterday. There are in Mombasa, they are in Kitengela, they're in so many places. So Nairobi women is one of the places you can go. The other place you can go is Mata. You can also go to MSF. MSF is in Isili, Medecins Sans Frontières. You can go to those places, and of course to the government hospital.
Pause there. Let me just ask a follow-up question. When they turn up to the hospital, what do they say? Remember, they have all these trauma, stigma, and everything. So where do they go to? So you've landed at Mata.
Okay.
Where do I go?
So when you get there, when you go to the desk, just say, I need GVRC. That's the code, GVRC. Because you don't want to tell somebody I've been raped, because that sometimes you don't even want to mention that. So one of the things I like about Nairobi women is even if you're in the middle, in the reception, and you just go to, where they call you for the card, for the registration, and you tell them GBV or GV, they will know how to direct you. MSF is a hospital that strictly deals with issues of sexual violence. So that one, the minute you walk in the door, they know that. It's people like us who know that it even exists, or the people in the neighborhood. But for most part, anybody who walks into that hospital, they do deal with other emergencies if they come, but they will refer them. But for them, strictly, it's a sexual violence hospital. A public hospital would be a very big issue, but most public hospitals have, in Nairobi, they have Tumaini Clinic. Tumaini Clinic deals with issues of SGBV. The other one is just to tell the person GBV. They will be able to direct you appropriately.
That's such helpful information, Njeri. Thank you for that. And now beyond treatment, out there is still not safe. I know there are safe houses that are supporting those who cannot go home. Number one, is it getting to a point of overwhelm where there's just need for so much more space? And just number two, what happens beyond treatment? How are you then able to walk with the survivors? What happens to them? Are they going back home? Are some of them needing to go to safe houses?
So we have 2 in our safe house.
Okay.
One, because it was brutal. And so we just wanted her to stay with us at least for 3 days, so that just for treatment and just care, because she lives alone. We thought it was important that she receives the care that she needs. But the most important thing right now is psychosocial support, which is therapy. And which we have trauma therapists. Actually, we have psychologists on staff. And so it's just knowing, because this is something we do, and we understand that this person is traumatized, just to support them so that you will never be the same.
Yeah.
But just for them to know that it's okay. It's safe. You can still be able to walk. You can still be able to go outside. The world is upside down right now, but we can just rightfully try to tilt it a bit so that it doesn't feel like, everything is devastating.
Exactly.
Because that's how they feel right now.
Yeah.
And just for them to know that they still care. Because I feel like one of the things, and I found you talking about it, is that in a world where there is no care and there is no compassion, that it's still there. And that there are people who care enough to just make your world a little bit right.
Yeah. No, I'm also going to, there was very blatant, unapologetic people bragging online. You saw that. And I keep bringing the state because I feel like we're at this conundrum right now where you're supposed to be able to go to authorities and say, this person, here's the screen grab, here is their name, their number. They tweeted bragging that they have raped somebody. So I'm just trying to understand how you feel, yourself and a lot of other incredible people who are trying to work with survivors. What steps do you take? Because there has to be a step towards justice, even though it's within a system that is almost, in a sense, supporting and perpetuating this violence. So what steps are you taking? Number one is verification of whether those are, real. I think they look like they are. But then number two, how are you now doing the 1, 2, 3 steps towards justice? What does it look like when those places...
Do you know the worst part about this? There has been an influx. But even before this Maandamano came, there has been an influx of people bragging on social media and saying they're going to rape a child. It's become very, very common, I promise you. As somebody whose comments, there is somebody for 7 years who has tormented me on Facebook. Every time on my comments, he posts himself naked, and then he posts a child, and then he tells me he's going to rape this child. Yes, I have evidence.
Comments where?
On my Facebook. This
on her
person,
comment section.
Yes, on my comment. Yes, every time I post, this person comes, this person does this. So I report him to Facebook, the comment is deleted, and then his account is deactivated. I know it's the same person because it's the same body for 7 years. Yes, and I don't even know how to explain. It's now that he's commenting on other people, but for me it's been a series. This person has done that. I have reported to the DCI. Nothing has ever happened. I have reported to Facebook. Nothing has ever happened. This person is still there. And I'm seeing his posts now, all of our people are like, Njeri, what can you do? And I don't even want to tell people I am so tired of this person. I have blocked him more than 100 times with 100 different reiterations of names that he comes up with. That's one. The other day, there was a man on TikTok who literally said he was looking out for a 12-year-old virgin that he was going to rape. Nothing happened to him. His face was on it. He was talking. He was never arrested. I reported myself, a man who said on Facebook that he was looking at his child, his own child, 3-year-old, and he was looking at that child with the intention. It was the way it was said, it was nothing happened. So many of these things are there. On top of that, and unfortunately, and it's something that needs to be said, people who are pardoned, we all saw it. Forget the murderers. That's already, I don't even know how murderers are out free. But pedophiles are released. And to my whole knowledge, I don't feel like we take issues of sexual violence with the heaviness or with the weight that it needs to be carried in. Because why, in the name of anything that is holy, would you release pedophiles back
into society?
Into society. I know jail is supposed to reform people. I don't think you can reform pedophiles. But when we have all these things, it feels like the state is not helping in this matter of protection. You know, there is no protection that is being afforded, you know, to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. And this actually goes into speaking into how society looks at it. And when I mean survivors, I mean talking about men. Because we also what happened to, say, somebody like Boniface Mwangi in Tanzania and how people responded to it. And for me, that really, really hurt me deeply, because it's like, we can't be making fun of survivors. Rape is so devastating. I don't even know how to explain. As somebody who has seen so many women, children, men go through this, it's for me to understand that chances of somebody being convicted on rape in this country, you need to have very much overwhelming evidence. Very, very much overwhelming evidence for you to even get a conviction. And it's always the onus, unfortunately, of the survivor of rape to prove that they were raped.
They were. In this particular case of the person who keeps, you know, sending you all these posts on the comments, have you reported to the police? Let me not say I'm sure.
I did, like 3 years ago. I gave up. At this point, I actually want to show you, because
so what's the response?
I sent it to my friend who is a lawyer, and I said, I need help at this point. I just want to show you, because I think I was, that day, it just, I don't know. I was just feeling like I can't be doing this all the time. And I sent it to her, and I told her, help me.
Because police have... they have the capacity.
If they want to, yes. They know how to get people from their houses.
They would be able to actually track this person and know who this person is, trace them, go and pick them up. If it's doctored or not, they would know all those things. Basically, police could pick up an investigation and walk that journey with you, understanding that this is, first of all, what's the word? It goes beyond harassing you. That you, just by doing this, they are already harassing you. There is that law that they keep using.
The cyber crimes,
No, that one is only for that one is only for people.
This was just a screen grab. I was so tired that day. I was like, I can't do this. And I was doing this on a post of a child who had been. This was an 11-month-old who had been raped by her dad, and this person. And I was like, that's it. I can't do this anymore. I am so angry. Also, we also need to understand that there has been an escalation on sexual violence.
So how do we stand
I have
the gap?
seen it, and honestly, I was going to ask, because what she spoke to online, I have 100% seen an increase in the number of, especially pedophiles. Someone taking a picture of a school child walking home from school and saying how they're... things you just cannot imagine. And it's regular, and it's becoming more and more common. As someone who thinks like you've curated a timeline, still they find you, which means that, and I block so many of these people, so the fact that it's finding, it says there's a proliferation. When you say there's an escalation, how do you see it, where do you see it, and what do you think is the why?
I don't know why. I am in that place where I don't understand. As somebody who's responding to it, I don't understand where it's coming from, but I'm going to say this. We have allowed so much access. Even children are accessing pornographic sites. There's, I don't even know how to explain. Because I went to, I'm not even going to mention where or what, and I spoke to these children, and these children were aged between 9 to 11. And all my staff, when we came, we just picked our bags and went home. No one was talking to the other, because the things we heard, the things we saw, the interconnection. I'm devastated. It's happened a month ago, and we still don't even know how to address it. And as people who actually look at the complexities and the intersections of violence, it's to understand that children are so exposed. And I want you to know that adults are luring children. And I don't even think people understand the extent, because these children, the things they were saying, was so bad. They were saying, Ankwara Nyambianga, there's this man, and these are boys and girls. There was no ati now, ati, the girls are safe, the boys are safe. No. There's this man who comes, he has a laptop, he gives me this, and in exchange I give him this, and this were 9-year-olds. And in a group of 100 kids, 63 of them had already had a sexual contact with adults. So I don't know what to explain, but the children in this nation are not okay, and they're not safe. And I'm going to lay this blame squarely on the government, because the government needs to do better.
Yeah.
Because the government, what's the government role if it is to come to people's houses and abduct them when they are pedophiles all the way on social media? They can see them, they know about them. This man isn't just me who he's been taunting. And you know, everywhere he does it, unfortunately, I am tagged. So even by the time somebody's tagging me, I already know what they're talking about. You know?
Sorry, before you go on, you said there's an interconnection between, is it early exposure
Yes.
to pornography and sexually explicit material and grooming that's happening across the country?
Yes.
And who is exposing them to this material?
It's actually adults. It's adults. It's
Adults close to them.
Yes, adults close to them. Adults around them. It could be adults in the house. It could be adults in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It could be, but it's adults. It's adults. And I want you to know that it's across the country, especially now in the urban areas. It's across. Don't think that just because you live in a gated community, your children are safe. You know?
Yes.
Or because this is a poor people problem. No, it's everybody's problem. Yeah.
So how do we stand in the gap, Njeri? I mean, like we said, this is happening. It's everywhere. How do we rally? How do we, I was going to say report, trying to find a new redirection, exactly. But how do we support and just rally? Unfortunately, it's reactive. I know that there's so much more that has to happen before that doesn't give people the audacity to post. But how can we stand with Usikimye and other organizations and stand in the gap and around survivors?
What we've been doing has to change, because the demons we are tackling, the problems we are tackling, let me not call them demons, because we're calling them demons, I am removing the
responsibility.
The responsibility. The issues we are tackling right now cannot be tackled the old-fashioned way we've been tackling them. We have to face the issues we have head on. We have rape, we have incest, we have sexual violence against children. I hate the word defilement because it feels like soiling. We have children being raped, okay? And we need to face it as a nation. We cannot have a normal conversation around this. What is the problem? I spoke to the CS gender, and I told her, we need to have very expressive, comprehensive rollout, robust, talking about not gender-based violence only, but sexual violence. Why is it so hard for us to agree? I know the church doesn't want to hear this, but unfortunately the church is also one of the places where children are getting exploited sexually. So we need to actually come together and agree that these things need to be spoken about. Telling a child to say the names of their private parts or for them to understand means a child can be, where we have successfully been able to do SRHR, we've had 4 prosecutions because children were able to say, oh my God,
This person
that
touched me
happened to me, okay? And so we've been able to have successful 4 cases prosecuted because children were able to be like, oh my God, you mean what my dad did to me is not right? What my uncle has been doing? And we successfully were able to prosecute 4 cases. So I need us to actually do a robust campaign. And if somebody is caught, they need to get arrested and they need to disappear. It can't be that my rapist goes, gets bail, comes back to the same community, and reoffends.
There should be a line there in the right to bail and and bond.
Yes.
Njeri, as you're coming to conclude, I want to just head back into anybody who is listening and watching us today and who will watch this conversation later on YouTube. What do they need to know about where to call in the event of an emergency? Number one, somebody who is watching and listening and they're a recent victim of rape, and you told us what they can do. They can call you and you give us those numbers, but they also now need to deal with the other members of society. I cannot go to work because I'm handling this. What do I tell my boss? So, because you gave an example of somebody who was wondering, so what do I tell my boss? And that stood out. Start with that one. So what do I tell my boss, and what does the boss need to hear?
Once again, rape is a very personal issue. And the fact that we look at people who have, gone through rape as less, as different, I would highly not advise anybody to tell their workmates or their boss that they were actually raped. Because there is the thing around your neck that maybe when you do something, so maybe, there's a victimization, a re-victimization that would occur. I think for me it's to just maybe say that there was an issue, maybe a GBV issue, because how else will you explain a GBV issue, and don't elaborate, just say I had a GBV issue. And I need companies to also be supportive where people work and to understand, because even GBV at home, this is just for example, most people come back to work, and they don't even say, because the shame. Why is it that this is something that happens to me that is so personal? I'm ashamed for it, and it had nothing to do. It's not really my fault. So I need organizations to realize that you can offer some sort of support, some sort of safeguarding. Do you have channels where people can actually go and safely say, where I can safely go to my HR and tell them this happened to me and I am not penalized for this? That's
and I need support.
And I need support because I've gone through this. Even as a nation, we don't grieve.
We don't.
And people who have gone through rape need time to grieve what has happened to them and the changes that are going to keep on coming back.
Directly saying we've got to go. A number that people can call?
I'm actually going to give them the government helpline, which is 1195. That's the government.
1195.
Yes. Call that number.
And it works.
And it works. And Usikimye is 0800 000 999. That's our helpline. And on our social media, we have other helplines that they can reach out to that we have pinned on our socials. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a wrap from us, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, staying engaged. To all our guests this morning, a sincere thank you. I'll start with Wambui Mbarire, the CEO of Retrac, and of course Boniface Mwangi and Njeri Migwi for the work that you're doing. Njeri, your work is incredibly heavy. I think also Boniface said donate to Usikimye. I will reiterate that, and that is not from any commercial perspective, but because this work needs to be done and the people who are doing it are not doing it. But thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back here on Monday. No, Friday, isn't it? Yes, I lost track of days. We'll be back here on Monday, 6 to 10 a.m. Hashtag is Fixing the Nation and TV.